So let's start our study. I'll just share my screen. Here we are. Can you all see it? Yeah?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, good. Today we are starting a new chapter on evocations. This is chapter 25.
Mhm.
We've basically covered 2/3 of the book already. So this chapter, as I said, about evocation. So let's start with the general considerations. 269. Spirits can communicate either spontaneously or by answering our call. So these are the two ways that spirits can communicate. Spontaneously, so we are more used actually to, receiving spontaneous message from spirits. But on Kardec's days, they used to do a lot of evocation. We see, for instance, for those who've already read the book Heaven and Hell, they will see there is part 2 of the book where they evoke so many spirits to ask them, inquire them about their situation in the spirit world. And some of them actually, as early as, during the funeral or whatever. So we see that Kardec used to do a lot of that, or in those days they used to do a lot of that. Of course, mediumship has evolved in terms of the way we deal with that, and also as a tool to help spirits in the spiritual world. We slightly change the way we work with it because, there are many different ways nowadays that we do. So in those days, they were basically establishing the basis for the work within mediumship. And things are slightly different today in procedure, but it doesn't mean that we can do, both spontaneous and also evocations. So spirits can communicate either spontaneously or by answering our call. That is, they can be evoked. Some persons think that spirits should not be evoked at all. That is preferable to wait for one who wants to communicate. So basically, what Kardec is doing is comparing one way to the other and saying that some people prefer just to wait instead of evoking specifically one spirit. And he says, they believe that in calling a certain spirit, we cannot be sure that it is who it claims to be, whereas one who comes on its own initiative better proves its identity, since it thus shows its desire to converse with us. So basically, he's saying that, if you direct, your communication to, evoke a certain spirit, that is a guarantee that, you will have that spirit to talk to you instead of just waiting for anyone to come in and communicate. Not Kardec himself, actually, saying that, those who come on their own initiative, they want to communicate, so they probably are who they say they are. Instead of just you calling someone, you can be sure that that spirit will come and talk to you instead of someone else. But let's see what Kardec has to say. In our view, that is a mistake. First of all, because we are always surrounded by spirits, most of whom are less evolved and who are eager to communicate. So spirits are everywhere, basically all the time. And as he says, if they see an opportunity to communicate, well, they will do so. I remember once, Divaldo Franco, the Brazilian medium, he was in London. And one morning he had, the morning off, and some friends took him to the Tower of London. And we went to the Tower of London. And when he came back, I asked him, did you see anyone, there? And he said, in spiritual terms, and he said, yeah, so many spirits, some of them were actually sort of from 2, 3, 4 centuries ago. And he said, I had to be careful not to stare directly at them, because if they realized I could see them, they'll probably try to, communicate and so. And he said, it's not the right place. It's not the right moment to do so. So I just avoided, looking directly at them. But yes, I could see many spirits from, um, probably King's Henry VIII time, or even earlier than that. So spirits are everywhere. They are around us. And if they see an opportunity to communicate, they will do so for different reasons, but they will do so. And that's why Kardec starts by saying that spirits are everywhere, and they are not enlightened spirits. Second, it is for that very reason that if we do not evoke a particular spirit, we open the door for all those who would like to enter. In an assembly where no one in particular is given the floor, it would be open to everyone, and we know that the results of that would be. So basically saying you put a microphone in the streets and you don't call anyone in particular. Whoever feels like using the microphone, they will use the microphone and, talk to people. But if you direct that, in a large group, you call directly so-and-so, they will come and communicate. But just remembering that in those days, they didn't have the normal mediumship work that we do nowadays, which is directed to suffering spirits. So the work, they were actually, start to interact with the spirit world in that sense, in an organized way. But in those days, and especially with the groups working with Allan Kardec, the intention was actually to learn, to have questions answered, to learn about certain situations. I mentioned again the book Heaven and Hell, part 2, where spirits are evoked in order to learn about their situation in the spiritual world. And then Kardec groups them in 3, the ones who are happy, the ones who are not so unhappy, and the ones who are really unhappy. And that was the result of this communication. But nowadays, spiritist groups, they see mediumship, as a way to diminish the suffering of spirits. And of course, that calls the attention of more evolved, enlightened spirits who organize this type of meeting. So we have advanced in that direction, but Kardec has presented the situations, the possible situations, spontaneous communication versus evocation. Okay. Comments? No comments? Right. So by directly appealing to a certain spirit, we establish a link between us. We have called it by our will, and thus have set up a sort of barrier to intruders. Without a direct appeal, a spirit would often have no reason to come to us unless it was our own familiar spirit. Again, when we meet a group of mediums and dialoguers, they get together, especially in the environment of a Spiritist center. But we know that today we can do also, even in the formats that we are using now to study, we have a purpose. So there is a large group organizing all this work because the purpose is to be under the care or the guidance of a group of benefactors who use mediumship, as I said before, with a purpose, which is to help suffering spirits and also to communicate with us to bring some enlightenment. So by doing that, we receive spirits who to us seem to be spontaneous, but who are brought to the meeting. And sometimes the preparation for the communication starts days before that. So we can say that they are 100% spontaneous because they have been previously organized by the benefactors, so that, during the meeting, they more or less know which medium will, give way to which spirits. So spirits are assisted. But for us who just take this tiny part in this work, it gives us the impression that the spirit just, arrived at that moment from goodness knows where to give a communication and full stop. No, it's not that way. So, as I said before, it has evolved where the meeting itself is organized. It's part of a larger work where we just take a tiny part, tiny bit, and we see very little of it. So that's why it's so important. And also, when we say that mediumship should be used and worked in a controlled environment, in a controlled place with a certain noble purpose, we mean that. We are there working in a group of incarnate, and then we also have this assistance, which is very important. Sometimes we have no, how would I say, elements to evaluate the importance and the extent of the help provided by benefactors, so that the mediumship meetings that we organize as such go, according to, planned, or according to the best that it can be. Hi, Celine.
Hi. So that you said above about I I wonder, is this correct? I call when I do a gospel home every day. I do every day in the morning sometime, and I would like to know if yeah, of course, I call my benefactor, my angel. Oh, yes, I do because I usually do it. But if I invite one benefactor to come with a protege, with a and spirits, so that they come, they understand already understood. It's not good, or because I do and I think maybe it's not so good to do alone when I am alone. It's not the practice. No, it's not mediumship. It's not. No. It's only to if they would like to listen. But I would usually say to when in the end of the hair works, please take back them back up with with you. And therefore, I think benefactor maybe they come with, but maybe you don't need it. Say they know already. If they come with many gospel in the morning, all of the world, or this is some question to my think about.
The gospel in the home is actually for us to establish a higher level of connection with benefactors, our guardian angel, and so on. This is the purpose. It's not the mediumship, moment for, the practice of mediumship as a tool to help other spirits and so on. But you can always pray, because there is a not so clear line, between the two, because when you do your gospel in the home and pray for your loved ones and pray for the world, it is, actually a practice that, we do in part in a mediumship meeting. But the main purpose is not that. It may happen for, some mediums who are very experienced. They say, oh yeah, I was doing my gospel in the home, and then I saw this spirit, and so, it's very difficult to draw a line. But when you do the gospel in the home on your own or with your family members, the purpose is actually to keep the family in an environment which is more elevated, which takes you. It's a practice that takes you above the earthly things, the earthly problems that we have. And once you start doing that, you realize the positive influence that you receive from your benefactors, from those spirits that are there in your family to help and so on. And the mediumship practice, is when we get together with that purpose. And Kardec says here, without a direct appeal, a spirit would often have no reason to come to us. But we do a direct appeal, not to a spirit. We do a direct appeal to the benefactors, to Jesus. When we do our initial prayer, when we come to a mediumship meeting, we have that in mind. I'm not doing there for this or that. I'm going there actually to see, if I can do something for, suffering spirits. So there is a purpose. There is an appeal. It's not one-to-one, but it's from a group to another group, where if they see us fit, or if they see we can do this or that job, they will actually help us to do that, And that's why it's important to have our individual preparation for the mediumship. So we prepare throughout the whole week, so that when we meet again, we offer ourselves in better conditions to be used for that particular job. It is very specific. Can we do mediumship meetings for different purposes? Yes, we can. But, we study actually to know exactly what are the consequences or the dangers that we are exposing ourselves to if we go this way or go that way. It very much depends.
Yes, I know that. I never think do mediumship alone here. No, never. We don't do it. But it is another thing, and you answered. Oh, good.
Yeah. And the faculty is there, It's just knowing where to use, how to use it, And actually to keep quiet in certain moments, like De Woude did when he was, visiting the Tower of London. And he just kept quiet. No, he couldn't just, switch off and stop seeing spirits there. But he didn't engage or give room for them to establish a communication or so. It wasn't the right moment.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we need to be careful sometimes, because I think it's I just had the word and it just disappeared. But we feel like excited to about that, isn't it? It just takes over and it can be too much. We need to balance it, isn't it?
Yeah. And also, as we personally evolve in spiritual terms, we start to perceive things in greater detail, as if we were looking from far, away. And as we get closer, we start to see details. And mediumship is that. When we, actually invest in developing ourselves in this sense, morally speaking, being under control, and we start to see things in greater detail. Otherwise, as you said, Lily, we would get too excited and start doing things and without realizing exactly what we were doing.
I had the right words, but
yes. Yeah. Indeed. So when you say mediumship development, personal mediumship development, we mean that, the faculty is there. We have to learn, how it works, and, we have to learn about ourselves and how to improve ourselves to be able to use it. Okay.
Thank you.
Both of these types of evocation have their advantages. However, and there would only be problems if one of them were excluded. So look what Kardec is saying, both types, they have their advantages. But, the problem he sees is when we exclude one of them. So, of course, depending on the purpose of the meeting, we do one way or the other. Spontaneous communications present no problems when we are in control of the spirits and are certain that we do not allow evil ones to dominate. Basically, when we do a mediumship meeting within a spiritist context, we do that. I mean, we ask protection, we come with good intentions, and we study, which is very important. We can be ignorant, in inverted commas, as to the way the faculty works and, all the dangers that, exist and so on. So we do our best not to be influenced or, as Kardec say here, dominated by evil spirits, so that our mediumship meeting do not degenerate. That's what we work for. So it is almost always appropriate to await the willingness of the spirits who want to manifest, because in this way their thought does not experience any restraints, and we can receive admirable communications, whereas a spirit who is evoked may not be disposed to communicate at all, or might be incapable of communicating in the way we want it to. Moreover, the scrupulous examination that we have advised is a guarantee against bad communications. So it's not because we have evoked a certain spirit that, that spirit will come and communicate. And Kardec tells us very clearly here that we should use what we have learned about the identity of spirits, which was the previous chapter, because calling a certain spirit or just waiting for any spirit to come and communicate, is not a guarantee that that spirit or a spirit who is known is giving a communication to us. We have to be very careful, in either situation. During regular spiritist meetings, especially when a sequential work is involved, there are always spirits who come without our having to call them, for the simple reason that they are accustomed to the regularity of the sessions. So, the regularity of the session, same day of the week, same time, same purpose, same procedures as such, always asking for guidance, for protection, for inspiration from the benefactors. So in this way, we create in a larger group where some spirits will come because they, become accustomed to that. Not just, protecting benefactors will come, but also some spirits who come to communicate, just like us, to give communication, not because they are evolved spirits or so, but because they have something to share with us, and they come on a regular basis. Perhaps some of them, I would dare say that perhaps there are many that come, join the group, and don't give a communication on a regular basis, but they are there. Since we know the spirits are around us, as Kardec says, we have spirits around us all the time. Why not to have these spirits taking part in a mediumship group, as incarnate do? They just come and join the group without having a particular work on that day, but just to give support or to be, engaged in the work. And of course, depending on the type of work, the purpose of that meeting, that gathering, we will attract, the spirits who, like that kind of work. Although we know that some spirits who don't like the type of work of assistance that is given, they will try to come and disturb it, because some of them just for the sake of, not wanting anyone to receive help because they feel jealous or whatever, or those who want to keep humanity in general terms ignorant. And, but if we are protected by benefactors, because the reason for us getting together to work with mediumship is noble, then we already have this protection and guidance. And if some not so desirable from our point of view situations they happen first because consciously or not we allow that to happen, and it's always a lesson. Oh, that week I should have this week I should have prepared myself better, but I allowed myself to fight with my boss, to this, to that, so I come to the meeting very negative. And so if something happens, some disturbance even, and I can't just say, oh, you see, there's no meaning, no reason for this group, for this work. We are not protected in this and that. No, we are protected. But certain specific situations are allowed to happen to open our eyes to the fact that we are in control of certain things. And sometimes we don't, do what we are supposed to do in order to keep things, in good shape. And because of our weaknesses, of course, we allow situations to happen during our daily life that will affect our work, and we don't do anything. Not that we have to be a saint in this world, no, but we don't do what we could do to prevent that situation being brought with us, or the results of that situation during our week being brought to us, to the mediumship group, and affect, the whole meeting. So the benefactors will take that opportunity and the results of that as a lesson for us to see, well, next time I'll prepare myself better. Not that an unpleasant situations will not happen again in my life. They will. It's part of life. But I have to learn how to, keep things aside and come with the best of my best version to the Spiritist meeting. Not pretending to be who I'm not, but, just leaving aside anything that could disturb that special moment, so that, in that moment, I may gain perhaps something that will help me, from that day onwards to face these situations and not, take them with me to the mediumship meeting. Hi, Ansalie.
Yes, I know this is a mediumship meeting. Yeah, I understand. And when it happens to me sometimes, because I think about something, or I am cleaning, or something, and it became wonderful, and I sit and this and the right to, because I can't to forget. If I go and drink a water, vanish everything. So I must sit and it's happened not often, but it's happened. It's another day. There was a Portuguese, but I will try to translate it in English. As ondas de energias amorosas que estão no universo estão dentro de cada de nós. É só nos dar a chance. Love and energy in the universe wave are already into us. We need only to take a chance. Take a chance.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
it's good, but it's like this one. So, of course, I knew it was not me, because I was to take another. Okay, I'm so clear. So, oh, Jesus! So I spring set and escape,
Yeah.
or disappear. Or disappear if I don't. So, though I must ask you now, is this correct? it's not a mediumship. It's not. It's not. It's happened that people here, here our studies have the same, or only to me.
Yes, yeah. The thing is, we forget that everything that we need is inside us. It's just waiting for us to make the effort to develop. And when they say, God is inside you, So when dealing with mediumship, which is a particular situation, just like anything else in life, we should first and foremost stop and look inside us. You see? Self-knowledge. Know who we are, exactly where we are, what are our strong points, what are weak points in spiritual terms, so that we can work with that. And if I have mediumship, that my mediumship will benefit from that. And if I have, an important position in life, my position in life will be helped by that. So we forget that everything should start from within, and some people say, yeah, you can imagine there are conveyor belts around the world. Some are conveyor belts of good thoughts, positive thoughts, and some of them are carrying negative thoughts, the dark side of humanity, of us, and we choose which one we want to join. And once we, leave the negative one to join the good one becomes stronger and the negative one becomes weaker. So it's just a question of us, situations in life, they are there. Life, the type of life that we're experiencing now is actually, it brings to us the experiences we need as a spirit to develop. So let's stop, look, analyze, and get the best of that for our spiritual growth, our spiritual development. It's not by chance that we are here together on a Saturday morning, evening for some, some for some afternoon, but we are here to gain something. And what it is for? Just to say, no, I know I've done a course on the medium's book. Now I've got my certificate. I'll put on the wall, done, No, it's not for that. It's for us, for life, for us to use as, elements to help us improve. If I'm also, if I have these clear signs of mediumship, that will help me with my mediumship. If I don't have that, well, it will help me anyway, because I'm getting, spiritually speaking, better, stronger, more developed. I'm allowing all that, is divine within me to begin to manifest, And with that, perhaps my next incarnation, I will come with the faculty, very clear, but I'll know what to do with that. Less chance that I'll make a mess of this situation, and that incarnation in a worse situation than when I started in terms of, more situations to sort out instead of less. But it is an opportunity for all of us, having or not clear signs of the faculty, having a faculty where we can see, hear, or a faculty that just get intuition every now and then. It doesn't matter, actually, because we are promoting our spirit, ourselves as immortal spirits. And what we have today, we can make the most of that for our benefit, spiritual benefit, and the benefit of those around us. But if we don't have that, well, we are preparing ourselves to have, more faculties in the future, for our benefit and for the benefit of others. So that's why it's so important, to make the most of this opportunity that we have, the books that we have. If we look around, we see that, so few people get to study in depth Spiritism, and the world needs so much, There's so much. So we can see we are, privileged people for this opportunity while here, in the world, and still in a physical body, to be able to learn that, to take that, not just in our daily lives, but, to many other situations in life, and slowly transform that. Okay. Hi, Liz. Sorry, I kept you waiting there.
No, don't worry. Hello, everybody. No, I was just, kind of reflecting what Ursula was saying and thinking because mediumship is just like sight, hearing, taste, touch, all the senses that we have. And as Chico Xavier said, they're all capacities that are given to us. They're all potentials that are given to us, abilities that are given to us for us to be able to learn and develop ourselves as human beings in our evolutionary journey. And to use them is important for us to always, as you said very rightly, know ourselves, because we need to understand what kind of values motivate us every day to use them, to use these capacities that are given to us for whatever type of action, negative or positive. But with mediumship, we are mediums all day. We are mediums 24/7, as we always said here in the group. And there are some things that, yes, just come to us because we are in constant, there is no, and again, there is no spiritual world over there, and then we have the incarnate world over here. We are all together. There is no, division. You don't know. We are mingling together. Everyone is always mixed up together, and we just need to, the way we use the abilities that we have is what is going to attract certain type of people, like our friends that we attract, or within our family. We all know, we all can see that we all have a common trait. So I just thought, by sometimes getting a message or a nice thought, and these are ways that our guardian angel can communicate with us throughout our lives and inspire us if we are open to do so. If we have moments like the gospel at home, and if we are diligently, studying, and if we are diligently reflecting on who we are in our actions and trying to do the best thing that we can do at, as much as we can, we are always going to be open to this type of intuition that is always there for us. We don't need to go to, what I'm saying is we have it all the time. We don't need to go to a mediumship meeting to have this sort of guidance. Obviously, in a mediumship meeting, we are even more open if we are going there and following like the spiritist, let's say, model. And we know that we have certain protection if we are doing with the purpose of helping and learning with an honorable, as you said, with an honorable purpose. We are always going to have positive things around you. And yeah, but the guidance is there if you are disciplined enough to try to go through a good path as much as you can.
Yeah, you're right. No, what came into my mind, yeah, because mediumship is like that, and the spiritist mediumship meeting, I say spirited because he has the purpose of helping suffering spirits. It is an opportunity for us to work with the faculty that we have, and as you said, Liz, very well said, that it is 24/7. The faculty is there, and it is an opportunity for us to do our work. It's not that I'll gain some benefit by joining that group, or no, it is an opportunity, a very good one, that we have to use the faculty. If I'm a good teacher, what is the purpose, of being a good teacher and not teaching anyone? So if I'm a good teacher, I'll, join classes and I'll try to teach, to use this ability that I have have developed, of course, or, I came with this, preparation to, be a good teacher. So if I teach, then, I'm giving, a good destination of that ability that I have. It's the same with mediumship. We are mediums, regardless of going to a spiritist mediumship meeting or not. But when we give, our faculty the right, meaning, or make good use of that faculty, we are actually fulfilling something that, is going to be useful for us, while being useful to so many. The benefactors that we use that faculty to help suffering spirits, but in the end of the day, we are helping suffering spirits. And, it's a beautiful work that we are doing for others and at the same time for ourselves. Because as we give, the more we give, the more we receive. We know that. So they nearly always appear spontaneously. Oh, hi, Charles.
Yes, sorry.
Go.
I think the first sentence of this paragraph is very important. There are advantages and inconveniences, and the problem would be if one of them were excluded. So we hear a lot. No, the Shiku said the phone call comes from spiritual world to our incarnated world. So we should never, ever call any spirit. So this is totally against what Kardec is just writing here. Of course, the mediumistic meeting need a purpose. We are doing suffering spirits. See suffering spirits, usually in the meetings we do, we don't call any. So the spiritual world is deciding who is coming. But there are other type of meetings, for instance, this obsession meeting, where, okay, a person is obsessed and you are somehow calling the spirit who is obsessing that person. So you are doing an evocation,
Yeah.
So it's always, depending on the purpose you have, but it should not be considered as a sin to call some spirit. No? It's depending on case by case. If you have a good purpose of the meeting, intention to help good spirits, or intention to learn something, or intention to maybe to help a person which is mooring or whatever, the door should be open to call a determinate spirit. And one precaution Kardec always took before calling a spirit, he was calling Saint Louis, the mentor, and saying, can we call that spirit? And when Saint Louis said, no, you cannot, or better not, or he cannot come, or there are some things that must be remain unknown or whatever, then of course Kardec did not call the spirit. Okay, so just to
Wonderful. Yes, thanks, Charles. Yes, you see, there are the faculty can also be used. You mentioned Chico Xavier, and he used to have these weekly meetings. I think it was weekly, to receive letters from the deceased, from those who returned to spirits, actually whose mothers went there in the hope that they would send a letter to diminish the suffering they went through when losing, a kid at early age and so on. So yes, there are different purposes. But what we should bear in mind, and Charles mentioned it, it's very important that because you say you should preferably do this way, it doesn't exclude the rest. It's just that for the general public, the best way to do or to start is this way. It's the safest one. People say, oh, you should never, or you should avoid using your mediumship alone, trying to receive a communication when you're on your own. And I remember once, Divaldo Franco was in London for a series of lectures there, and once I had the opportunity to take him back to the hotel, and he told me that he would get to the hotel, have a very light meal, and receive a book, work until the early hours of the morning. So he was on his own. He was using his mediumship. He was in trance, receiving, the book from Giovanna de Angelis, his, one of those spirits who wrote books through him. So is it forbidden or not? No, it's not forbidden. As Charles mentioned, it's just that the general advice is, start in the safest way. And as you develop, of course, you can allow yourself to work in different ways. Oh, I've been working now for 2 years in mediumship, meeting, receiving suffering spirits, and so on. Can I just go straight into this obsession group? No. Is it forbidden? No, it's not forbidden. Most of us would not be prepared for that because it's hard work. You need to, get to a point where you can do a good job in this obsession meeting. So, it's not that, this is the best way to start or to do it. It doesn't mean that the rest, is not allowed or such forbidden. No, it's not that way. It's just that it requires, a special situation, or it requires a better preparation on our side so that we can be successful in that. Because if we have, serious purpose in whatever meeting we are, being part of, we want to succeed in what we are doing, be it receiving letters from kids who died and left a family in tears, be it working with suffering spirits to guide them, to offer them some consolation, or this obsession, or any other mediumship work that could bring some benefit to people. So thanks very much, Charles. Your comments were very, very important. They nearly always appear spontaneously to address some subject, develop a theme, or provide guidance. In such cases, it is easy to recognize them, whether by their language, because it's always the same, by their writing, or by certain peculiar habits. Some spirits, they identify themselves, not saying no. Oh, yeah, I know it's so and so. But we know that it is the same spirit. Oh, this is the same spirit who came last week, or who've been coming regularly to our meeting, always to talk about these, or we can recognize the spirit by as Kardec says, the language, the way it writes, or some peculiar habits. Just have a note. When we want to communicate with one particular spirit, it is absolutely necessary to evoke it. See number 203. If we can answer, we usually receive the response, yes, or I am here, or what would you like of me? Sometimes it enters directly upon the subject, responding to the questions that we intend to ask before we have had a chance to do so. Yes, we see that in many cases, the spirit just comes and gets straight into the subject, answering questions that, had been formulated previously. And again, Charles mentioned something important that we constantly see when Kardec brings to us messages from spirits. The group asks, normally St. Louis, if they can evoke, have a communication from a particular spirit. And in many occasions, I think we've had the opportunity to see some here, certainly in the book Heaven and Hell, where, he tells if the spirit is in no condition to come, he will tell the group, no, wait, he's not in condition, or, it's not appropriate now, or, they bring the spirits there. So we see, even in evocation, we have a group of more evolved spirits in charge of that, and it's not done according to our will, but according to the situation of each spirit and the benefactors And if we ask them and ask their permission actually to have that spirit there, they will tell us exactly what's going on with the spirit, if he or she can or cannot communicate, and even add some explanation. Sometimes the spirit gives the communication, and there are some doubts regarding certain aspects of the communication, and sometimes the benefactor will come and add, some piece of information that will help us make sense of the communication given by the spirit. When a spirit is evoked for the first time, it is proper to address it as precisely as possible. Questions formulated in a curt and imperative way should be avoided because they could be a motive for it to stay away. Questions should be affable and respectful, proper to the particular spirit, and in all cases show the benevolence of the evoker. And just bear in mind that spirits are, us who are now in the physical world, and tomorrow we'll be back in the spiritual world. And they, we should show them the same respect, asking questions, knowing that they are doing as a favor, and not the other way around. So we should treat them accordingly. Because some people think that, evoking spirits is like, giving them an order, or, being rude or whatever, forcing them to obey whatever we want. And just by what Charles mentioned to, that Kardec used to ask St. Louis if that spirit could be addressed or not, was in condition to come to the meeting and give a communication or not. It's just a sign of respect, because basically Kardec was asking permission, together with extra information about the spirits, to St. Louis, to, someone who was, coordinating basically the work. And we also have individually speaking, we have our guardian angel, our spirits, to whom we should direct our thoughts, to ask actually if it's possible, if it's not possible, and even in our daily life, he's someone who, wherever he or she is, will be able to, direct us in a situation if we truly ask for help and permission for certain things as well. 271. We are often surprised at how quickly an evoked spirit appears, even for the first time. One might say that it had been forewarned. That is, in fact, what happens when we are preoccupied beforehand with evoking it. This preoccupation is a sort of an anticipated evocation. And since our familiar spirits are always nearby and attuned to our thoughts, they prepare for its coming, so that if there are no obstacles, the spirit is already present upon being evoked. So we see that, just by the mere fact of thinking, well, perhaps, or, who knows, maybe that spirit can come to our next meeting, or, it is a case just showing us that, in thoughts we are connected to, whoever we want all the time. If we are thinking about good things, good purpose for our mediumship meeting, of course, we will attract good spirits, and perhaps even those spirits we wish to communicate. And certainly they will come and communicate if they have permission, if they have conditions to do so. But, the one who knows that is our guardian angel, or the spirits connected to a particular mediumship group. Otherwise, the familiar spirit of the medium, or the questioner, or one of those who is normally present, will go look for it. which does not require much time. If the evoked spirit cannot come immediately, a messenger, the pagans used to call it Mercury. Sets a time, 5 minutes, quarter hour, an hour, or even several days hence. When the spirit finally arrives, it will say, I'm here. Then we can begin to ask our questions. I don't know, for those who haven't read the book Heaven and Hell yet, it's a very interesting book because we can see that in practice. So many spirits were actually evoked and came to give communication. Some of them many times, and we basically see that what is being described here. The messenger is not always a necessary intermediary, because the evoker's appeal can be heard directly by the spirit, as will be explained in number 282, question 5, concerning the method of transmitting thoughts. When we recommended that the evocation be made in the name of God, we meant for this recommendation to be taken seriously and not lightly. Anyone who thinks it is a meaningless formula would be better off to refrain from making the evocation altogether. We see that we already tell, what are the purposes, or what is the meaning of that evocation, that meeting, that gathering for the use of mediumship. When we say in the name of God, and that is very important. Some spirits, when they listen to that, they immediately know what is the purpose of that group being there together, to use the faculty. And some of them, not all of them, but some of them will refrain from bringing messages that are not good, or that are not important to the group. So just establishing from the very first moment what we are there for when we say in the name of God, for good reasons, good purpose. Okay, so time is up. I'll stop here. It's a very interesting chapter, as all the others, but it is a particular subject of evocation, and I hope it will, take away all the doubts that we have, because from Kardec's days, where the practice had a different characteristic than today, but one does not exclude the others. As Charles said, we can evoke spirits, provided we do that, as Kardec said here, in the name of God, for a good purpose, for the benefits of, one spirit, or, many spirits. Okay. I'll stop recording now.